Okay, I'm back, and I'm here with my Shaman review. So, Shaman, I feel overall they probably had the worst set of anybody. And it's not that they didn't get good stuff, it's that they didn't get synergy for their good stuff. So, they got two key things. They got spell damage. Now, Shamans, you associate some Shamans with spell damage, but there isn't that much that really takes that good of advantage of spell damage. Lightning Storm, obviously, Forked Lightning, obviously, but outside of that, they don't really have AoEs. So you're using spell damage for like their 1-mana spells, which is useful, but not really game-breaking. And they only got one card that I would say really synergizes well with spell damage, in spite of getting like 2 spell damage cards. And then they also got a few cards that are very good at summoning things on the board in Runic Carvings and Totem Glide. And that's good, but the problem is that Shaman doesn't have really a card that benefits, that helps them when they have a giant board. Like, they have like Flame Tongue Totem, and they have Direwolf Alpha and Stormwind Champion, and like, that's it. Like, summoning 4 totems seems really powerful, but if you can't actually activate them or do anything with them, then you just healed yourself for like 6 because the opponent took them out. So ultimately, that's my problem with Shaman, is that they got some powerful tools, but they don't have the right things to use the tools on, and I think that ultimately makes Shaman probably one of the worst classes for Scholomance. So, for example here, Runic Dagger. 2 mana, 1/3. After hero attacks, gain spell damage +1 this turn. So, bankable spell damage is okay. I'm not going to say it's good, but it's okay. 2 mana, 1/3 weapon, though, that's not good. Like, you do not want to take 2 mana, 1/3 weapons. So, overall for this card, I think it's an average card. Like, the spell damage kind of matters, but again, spell damage is very situational, so I'd say it's a 2-star card. You take this if you don't have any weapons, just basically to keep the effect on cooldown. Tidal Wave. 8 damage, deal 3 damage to all minions, lifesteal. Way overcost. It's too overcost, and that makes it like borderline unpickable to me. So the problem is, 3 damage to all minions, that's about a 5 mana effect. So you're putting lifesteal on that. So sure, if you take a lot of damage, you play this and you can heal up to full, but A, you've probably spent all your mana doing that, so you can't develop behind it. B, if you've done that and anything on the opponent's side lives, you're just going to take that damage back, so whatever you healed for is not really going to matter. Like, it's too small. If this was 4 damage to all minions, or 5 damage to all minions, then this would be absolutely insane, and honestly, the lifesteal would probably be the same. But it's way overcosted for its effect. And so for me, I don't think it's going to work. I think that this is a low 2-star, borderline 1-star card. Primordial Studies. Discover a spell damage minion. Your next one costs 1 less. So the problem with Shaman is that their spell damage minions require spells to be useful. Squall Hunter is a good card, but if you don't have spells, it's really not that good. Lady Vosh, if you don't have the spells in your deck, she's really not that good. Comparatively, compared to Mage, Arcane, Azure Drake, and Solarian, they are cards that are good and then have bonus spell damage. The other cards are cards that need the spell damage to work to be good. So compared to Mage, I think you're not going to get much out of this. I think it's a 2-star card in Shaman. Lightning Bloom, same thing as Druid. The 2 overload hurts a lot. Like, it's not enough to make up for it. It's a 2-star card. Okay. Molten Blast. Deal 2 damage, summon that many 1/1 elementals. This is a really, really good card. We've seen 3 mana deal 2 damage and put something on the board, be it a 2/1. We've had a few things like that. So, and this benefits from spell damage so that it can become a lot more powerful. Problem is that on curve, this is probably not going to go off. And the other problem is that it's the same thing as the problem I mentioned before with Shaman. They don't really have things to take those elementals and make them into threats. So it's a good card. It's a 4-star card, don't get me wrong. It's just it doesn't do enough for what Shaman needs. Trick Totem, same thing as with Mage. The issue with Trick Totem is that it's an 0/3 that doesn't really actually like even if it hits something beneficial, you're still not really getting all that much out of it, and it has way too much of a chance to screw you over. I think it's a 0-star never pick. Groundskeeper, 4 mana 4/5 taunt is a 4-star card. The battle cry is not going to happen because shamans do not have like cards that cost 5 or more. So there's not really all that much there. So yeah, 4 mana 4/5 taunt, just treat it as that. That's 4-star card. Diligent Note Taker, spell burst, return the spell to your hand. This is it's a 2 mana card. It's a combo card. The spell burst is going to work. Like you could play this on turn 2, and then you can play the coin that puts the coin back into your hand. You could play a second coin, and then you can play another 2-drop with it. So like those are things that you can do with this card. So yeah, I think this is a good card. I think it's a 4-star card. It's a card like you can combo it with AoE. You can play this, have it live, and then summon an Eye of the Storm and have a second one to back it up. Epics. Runic Arvings, summon 4/4 Treant totems or overload, summon them with Rush. This is the same thing as Druid. This is not bad by itself, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't do enough for you. So I think that this is a solid, it's a 3-star card. Like, you don't have enough stuff, unlike Druid, you don't have buffs to really go with this card. Totem Goliath. Death Rattle, summon all 4 basic totems, overload 2. So, again, the issue I brought up. Like, this is 7 mana total for a 4/5. You summon 4 totems, and you can't do anything with them. Like Eccentric Scribe, the Dragonhawk Rider. Those are neutrals for 6 mana that are much better than this. You're not going to pick Totemic Surge, so like the totems aren't really going to matter. This is a constructed thing that's just not going to work in Arena. It's still a 4/5 that summons stuff, so like don't get me wrong, it's not bad. It's a 3-star card. Don't get me wrong on that. It's just it doesn't the totems don't do enough on their own because you don't have the synergy for them. Devolving Missiles, same thing as Mage. Transformation is good. It's a little bit worse than in Mage because you don't have a 1 mana ping. So like you can take something and you can turn it to a wisp, but if you don't have a ping for that, then the wisp gets to attack, and that makes it actually a decent amount worse. But it's still a 4-star card. It's a low 4-star card. In Mage, it's probably medium 4, and Shaman, it's low 4, but it's a good card. All right, so for the legendaries, Speaker Gildra. So Shamans tend to have cheap spells due to overload. So it's probably not going to be as effective in Shaman as it would be in Druid, which will have bigger spells and buffs that you can put on it. But it's still a really good card. It's still a 5-star card. High 4-star card. It's still a high 4-star card. Don't get me wrong on that. Instructor Fireheart. Discover a spell that costs 1 or more. If you play it this turn, replay this effect. 6-star card. Like, not even a question. A 3 mana 3/3 discover a spell would be a 5-star card, like borderline 6-star card on its own, and you can keep on summoning stuff. So yeah, you take this. This is absolutely insane. You can either discover something to play this turn, or you can just draw a bunch of cards with this. Raz Frost Whisper. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all enemies, improved by spell damage. 6-star card. Same thing as Mage, and you have the spell damage totem. So you can easily enough get the spell damage totem and just start consecrating your enemy every single turn. So, like Shaman, Shaman, a lot of these cards are constructed cards. In Arena, they do not have the synergy to really work, and so Shaman is probably going to be one of the worst classes in Scholomance. All right, that's it for Shaman. Next class is going to be Warlock, and I will see you guys there for Warlock.